Hello, Dr. Brant Hulsebus here, and welcome to another edition of Ask the Chiropractor. Ask the Chiropractor is my little podcast that I do when someone has a question about chiropractic or chiropractic care. I try to answer. I'm a chiropractor here in Rockford, Illinois. I'm a proud graduate of Palmer College of Chiropractic, and I'm happy to be the team chiropractor of the Rockford Ice Hogs. Let's dive into it. Hi there. So last episode we talked about neck pain and neck stiffness. Today I want to talk about a sitting lifestyle. Is sitting the new smoking? I've heard one chiropractor one time say that sitting to your spine is the same as sugar to your teeth. Sitting can just rot our spine inside and out. And I want to break this into two different sections of how it affects us. First, I want to talk about posture. When you sit, you roll your shoulders forward and your head protrudes out. We call that forward head posture, rounding of the thoracic spine. And if you do this long enough or enough of this, you actually start to see changes in the person. Whenever I sit, it's this natural position. The moment I sit, my shoulders come forward and my head comes out. Whether I'm behind a desk, whether I'm driving a car, whether I'm watching television, or no matter what I'm doing, whenever I'm sitting, I'm rolling my shoulders forward and my head's coming forward. Now, this is a lot of stress in the spine. It's a lot of pulling and yanking, and it creates a lot of downward pressure of the human skull. And the human head weighs an average of between 8 to 10 pounds. And so if you have a nice round neck curve, that weight gets distributed evenly. When you lose your neck curve and your head starts to go forward, that's not how we're biomechanically designed to hold our heads up. And so for every inch forward, the research shows us 10 pounds more pressure pulling down. So as you pull down, you start to see more and more rounding going on over time. And this rounding of the shoulders and this forward of the head posture, too long, we actually start to see muscular changes. When I see a patient come in with this, I often have them stand up and have their hips, their heels, and their shoulders touch a wall and drive their head back, and I have them put their arms out. And a lot of them complain about pulling in their sternum from their chest muscles that actually shrunk because they've been bunched up so much. Not only that, but in the backside, your muscles are always being stretched more than they should be. And they're in a vulnerable position, so they're easy to irritate because you have a muscle now that's being stretched and you have a muscle now that's being overused because it was already working overtime in the bad posture. Now you ask it to do more, and those muscles become inflamed, and inflamed muscles make adhesions because they get sticky, and those adhesions become knots. So people describe all this aches and pains up in their shoulder blade, maybe underneath their shoulder, or a lot of the times they tell me it feels like a knuckle trying to dig its way out from the inside. So what we have is over time, we see more and more of that forward head posture and more of that rounding of the shoulders. And long term, this will actually start to lead to degenerative changes in the spine, meaning all that extra stress on that C5, C6 disc is going to cause it to start to dehydrate and flatten. And it's going to be too much stress. The body's going to put down extra calcium around there. Think of it like a bony callus, but in reality, it's degenerative arthritis from the excessive stretching and stress over time. From the head pulling it down all the time. Those are the nerves that come out, go down your arm into your fingertips. So when people tell me that their hand feels numb or weak, or they feel like they just get this tingling all the time, I know they're starting off with a really bad forward head posture from sitting too much, and it's creating more and more issues. Now, one common thing I hear that's a lot is people on motorcycles. They'll tell me when they're on their motorcycle, we can really feel shoulder and neck pain. Or in the wintertime, when they're on their snowmobile, they'll report the same thing. Because that position of those pieces of equipment really cause you to hunch and lean forward and create that posture and the extra stress of trying to maneuver and operate the vehicle while in that posture. So as chiropractors, we like to take x-rays from the side to see what your posture is doing and give us a clue. And if I take a sideways view of your neck and I see that the C5 and C6 discs are really thin, then I know you've had really bad posture for a really long time. It's creating a lot of issues on these area. And I know it might take longer to get you where you want your health to be based on the fact that it's been there for a long time. And a lot of people see the old lady at church all hunched over that big hump in her back, and they'll tell me that's osteoporosis, that's scoliosis. No, that's really bad forward head posture for way too long. If rounding of the shoulders and the head sticking out over time, and as we age, our bones lose some of their integrity, and we start to see more and more of that aging going down like that. So that is not Osteoporosis, people with weak bones, would happen faster. However, if the head was back, I would theorize that would happen. So the posture is a huge thing that chiropractors look at when we evaluate you and try to help you. But let's talk about phase 2 of this. I said there was 2 problems with sitting all the time. Genetically speaking, we are hunters and gatherers. We are designed to be on the move and on the go. Our ancestors were all hunters and gatherers, no matter what part of the world you came from. And a hunter and gatherer would walk around the earth. They'd pick fruits and vegetables and eat healthy fats and kill small animals. But most importantly, they would want to avoid the big animals that might want to eat them, like a bear or a wolf or a lion. So our ancestors couldn't hurt themselves and sit around for a few days and heal, because they would get eaten by an animal. They would be attacked by a predator. So we are designed to heal on the go. We're designed our backs to improve as we move. What do I mean by that? A lot of your joints of your back have no direct blood supply. There's nothing directly pushing nutrients in or pulling toxins out. The only way this happens is when you get up and you move. When you walk and you move, the muscles around your spine, they contract, and they push the good stuff into those joints and pull the bad stuff out. A while back, I did a podcast about advice we gave patients 40 years ago compared to what we know today. And 40 years ago, if you ran a jackhammer and then your back was getting destroyed, they would tell you should probably get a desk job. It's probably time to get off your feet. And we found out those patients rapidly deteriorated. So that was not the best advice we could have given them at that time. That's what we knew at the time, though. We learned it's better to get up and move around. Actually, we always knew it was better to get up and move around. We was following somebody else's model. Because if you go back to the earliest chiropractic textbooks from the 1920s, you'll see that they were told to get up and move around. My chiropractor in the Quad Cities, after he would adjust me, he'd have me do 2 laps around his building in order to help me hold my adjustment better. We know that getting up and moving is a way to get those muscles to start putting the good stuff in and pulling the bad stuff out and stimulating the healing process. Matter of fact, that's what we do as chiropractors. We find the bones that are subluxated. Now, what's a subluxation? A subluxation is when 1 or 2 of your vertebrae are misaligned and under stress, and they're not moving properly. The body will lock them up to protect them, to keep them from creating more damage, because every time they create more inflammation, it hits that nerve, and wherever that nerve goes, that body part's affected. Like I talked about in your neck. If the C5 and C6 vertebrae are subluxated, there's going to be the misalignment, the stress. The body's going to lock it up, which is going to make it more hyperinflammatory, meaning it's easier to get mad. When it gets mad, the nerves shoot down that C5, C6 into your hands and fingertips. We see decreased reflexes in certain parts of your hand. We see decreased hand strength. We see decreased grip strength. We see muscle pain, burning, tingling, numbness going down your arm. And us in medicine agree 1,000% on this. Not only that, but we'd also take a piece of cotton or a sharp pinwheel and go up and down your arm and ask if that's sharp or soft. And whenever we see the subluxation, a lot of times we find these areas will give us feedback in that. But as chiropractors, we also know these body parts, organs, besides just muscles and skin. It also goes through organ. And your C5, C6 has a lot to do with your thyroid and some of the glands in your throat and your neck. So if you're somebody who always has a sore throat, this and that, it's very possible that a chiropractic adjustment to your C5, C6 could be what's limiting your healing potential that you should have in these areas. So with the subluxation there, again, now we have a subluxation in C5, C6. We have the bad forward head posture all weighing down, and that's why that one can rapidly deteriorate. So when you go to that chiropractor, we look up and down your spine looking for these subluxations, and we do a chiropractic adjustment to them, hopefully to restore the motion. Once we restore the motion, then we know the muscles around there will contract and move and start pushing the good stuff in, pulling the bad stuff out, which is why it's so important that you get up and walk all the time. So sitting all day is just going to totally destroy and rot your spine. So is sitting the new smoking? I would say sitting's always been the smoking. It's always been a problem. We're designed to heal and go on the move. So what do we do? Is that the answer? So if you've had a lot of back pain, you always feel tired or fatigued, had a lot of health issues, you should probably go see a chiropractor. You go to the chiropractor, that chiropractor should take x-rays of your spine to see exactly what we're working with, what those discs look like. Now, we can't see the disc on the x-ray, but we can see the gap where the disc should be. If there's no gap, we have to imagine the disc is not looking very good. So we take the x-rays to see what's going on with the alignment, and not only that, but the posture and the disc height and the overall health of the spine. Based on that, a chiropractor will come up with a care plan for you. It'll probably start off with a series of adjustments. I did a previous podcast where the research shows it takes 12 chiropractic adjustments to create a change in the spine. So be prepared not to come in once, not to come in twice, but be prepared to come in probably around 12 times if you want to see a change in your spine. I know when I first started practice, a lot of the old farts would come in and say, if you can't fix it once, I don't want to see you. I say, well, good luck. See you later. It's the same thing as going to a gym. You can't get in shape going one time. Same thing as going to physical therapy. You're not going to repair a damaged joint by going to physical therapy one time and tell them to do it and do it right. That's just not how things work anymore. So you go to the chiropractor, you get your x-rays, you have your chiropractic exam, and the chiropractor will give you a schedule. Now, probably somewhere along the way, some posture stuff will be introduced, and some posture exercises will be introduced. My simplest favorite one is just having you stand up, stick your chest out big, retract your chin backwards, and then follow a line back and forth by turning your head, not moving your eyes, but turning your head side to side. This is a neurological and musculoskeletal re-education to fix your posture. I've done several podcasts about the fact that when I went to school, we learned about skeletal muscle, smooth muscle, and cardiac muscle. But the newest research is showing there's a fourth type of muscle called stabilization muscles. In a cadaver, your stabilization muscles around your spine look just like your skeletal muscle. But under a microscope, they're very different. The neurological connections are totally different. There's neurological connections in your skeletal muscle that your brain can consciously control, like moving your arm. However, the skeletal muscle, the stabilization muscles, they don't have that. Simple proof. Right now, if you're listening to me, I want you to move the third lumbar, the third bone in your lower back. Just move it independently without moving anything else. You can't. But there's a ton of muscles around that vertebrae. So why can't you move it? Because these muscles around there behave differently than your other skeletal muscle. They are reflexatory. They are reactionary muscles. They are highly, highly, highly innervated muscles. They have a ton of neurological connections within them to balance them. So if we want to change our posture, we have to do it not only with our actual physical posture, but also neurological input to help those muscles respond better. Our clinic's been here since 1949, and we have a whole bunch of stuff down in our basement of different traction units, harnesses, and different things that we've used over the years. And recently I've had the most success by not only doing a muscular skeletal type of exercise, but incorporating a neurological in it with as well. And that's been taken off huge. And people have been getting some really cool success with that. So I'm a really big fan of including that component of regaining your posture. The neurology is so important. I always say as chiropractors, we work on your nerves through your spine. We're not so much spinal doctors as we want to influence your nervous system. So there you have it. Is sitting the new smoking? Sugar to your teeth is the same as sitting to your spine? Absolutely. Quick tip for you. Get up every 20 minutes and walk around. Get up every 20 minutes, squeeze your shoulder blades together, count to 10, take a couple steps and go back at it. Sitting's not going away, so we have to adapt to the sitting lifestyle. And like I said, if you've had stiffness, pains, those muscle knots, headaches, you just don't feel like your health is where you're supposed to be. You feel tired or run down all the time, no matter how much you sleep or how much time off you get. Probably time to go see a chiropractor. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Sitting the New Smoking. If you did, make sure you like and subscribe, share this with your friends. And if you have a question about chiropractic or chiropractic care, there's only one qualified person that can answer your question, and that's a chiropractor. So feel free to leave a comment wherever you're watching or listening to this. And maybe next week it'll be the question of the week on my podcast, Ask the Chiropractor. Thanks for tuning in.